Yo, what's good? It's K-Felon for K-Felon Beats, upandcomingrappers.net, peeptheindustry.com, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to decode the language within recording contracts. I want y'all to understand that this shit, as I've searched all over the internet, I have yet to find anybody actually decode music contracts and teach y'all what type of shit you're likely to find within a recording contract. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. Now, I'm gonna try to keep this as simple as possible for you. It takes a lot of study to actually get this shit, but you know, once you understand it, once you understand the language, it's actually not that difficult. Alright, so understand that the deciphering of recording contracts is like reading a foreign language for the first time, and I do mean that. Alright, and you're gonna see that in a few minutes. Alright, and the reason most artists say they got screwed by their contracts, now I know you heard this before, artists saying, well, you know, I got fucked over my contract, is because that is exactly what happened. Okay, and I'm gonna show you exactly how it happened, all right, because a lot of artists don't know what they're signing. Okay, now I've said before that every business has its own language, and in order to understand how to play the game, you need to understand the language. Okay, that's the most important part you need to understand about this. All right, so to make this even more kindergarten and preschool for you, what I'm basically saying to you is this: you can't call a false start in basketball. Period. Never. Ever will you ever see that call ever be made on a basketball court. Why? Because they're two different games. They involve two different languages. Alright? So, like I said, I'm trying to make this as simple as I possibly can for you. Alright? So, if you want to play this dirty game, and trust and believe me, this shit is dirty. When you start seeing some of these provisions, once you know, if you really want to play this game we call the music industry, then you better learn the rules, all right? Like I said, I'm about to teach you some of the rules, okay? What I'm going to show you in this video here is just the beginning, it's just the tip of the iceberg, and we're going to be covering recording agreements, all right? This is just dealing with the length of your contract, all right? Now, have you ever wondered why you would hear an artist come out with a hit record or maybe a hot ass song only to never hear from it again? Yeah, you ever like wondered why does that happen? All right, well, the reason is because of the language within an artist recording contract. Okay, now I'm keep trying to put emphasis on the word language. You see, a label could sign you to a recording agreement with no intention of ever releasing follow-up material. Okay, and by law, because of the language within the contract, the label will be in full right to sit your ass on the shelf until your contract runs out. Okay? It's a dirty game we playing, but you gotta learn the rules. Alright? So it would be wise of you to pause this video right now and grab a notebook, because what I'm about to reveal is essential to your career, and it might save you a lot of fucking money and heartache. Alright? So, what I'm going to show you is a few provisions that you would possibly see in a recording contract. Like I said before, this is dealing with the length of your contract. We're not even getting into how you get paid, deductions, and all that shit. We're just talking about the length of your contract, okay? Alright, so example 1 is a 1 year plus 4 1-year options, alright? This is an actual provision that you would likely see in a recording contract, okay? Now, it says, company engages my personal endeavors in connection with the production of records as a vocalist and musician for an initial period of 1 year, as the same may be extended or renewed, commencing upon the date hereof. I grant company 4 options, each to renew this agreement for a period of 1 year. Said options to run consecutively beginning at the expiration of the initial period. Now, to a nigga like me and to most of you, if you read that shit, you probably, that shit is like, what the fuck are they talking about? Alright, so what they're basically saying is, the label is initially signing you to a 1 year recording deal. Okay, so initially you will be signed for 1 year with the option to either drop you from the label or keep you for another year under the same terms as the previous period. So whatever the initial terms is in that agreement, the next 4 following options will follow the same guidelines as that initial term. Okay? Example number 2. 1 year plus 4 1-year options. Now this is almost the same, but like I said, the language is just slightly different. All right? So it says, the initial term of this agreement shall commence as of the date hereof and shall continue for 1 year. You hereby grant us 4 separate options, each to extend the term of this agreement for a 1-year term. Such renewal terms to run consecutively, beginning at the expiration of the initial term, all upon the same terms and conditions applicable to the initial term, except as otherwise specified herein. I'm putting emphasis on that for this reason here. Like I said, this is basically the same as the first provision, except the language, except as otherwise specified herein. That means that the terms of the next option could be altered at the label's discretion. So after your first year is up and the label decides to pick you up for another year, within that option, they can change some stipulations of the contract. Okay? So that's what that means in a nutshell. So your first year, you might be under one set of terms and agreements. Your second year, those terms and agreements might change. All right? Stay with me now. This is where we get into the fun part. All right? This is example 3. This is an 18 months plus 4 1-year options provision. All right? This contract shall commence as of the date hereof and shall continue for a term consisting of an initial term which shall expire 18 months from the date hereof, and for the additional renewal term or terms hereinafter provided. Now this language is fucking ridiculous, but I'm gonna give y'all a little tip. It's something my queen taught me. When you read these contracts and you see words like hereof and hereafter, take those out and just read the sentence. So if I was to read this again, it would say the initial term which shall expire 18 months from the date, and for the additional renewal term or terms provided for. Or if you want another way to say it, initial term which shall expire 18 months from today, and for the additional renewal terms or terms following or provided for. Okay, so the terms after or later on in the contract. Okay, now it also says you hereby grant us 4 separate options, each to extend the term of the contract for a 1-year term. Such renewal terms to run consecutively, beginning at the expiration of the initial terms and conditions applicable to the initial term, except as otherwise specified herein or in the schedule herein below set forth. Okay, now like I said, this shit is fucking ridiculous the way they word this shit. But what this means is, this is similar to example 2, okay? Except the initial term is 18 months. So instead of getting signed for 1 year in the beginning, you're getting signed for 18 months. Followed by 4 1-year options, okay? So basically after your 18 months is up, the label can pick you up for another year, and then another year after that, so on and so forth. Now, the language, otherwise specified and in the schedule herein set forth below. Herein below set forth, I mean. This means that basically it's like the second example, but when it says in the schedule herein below set forth, that means that within the contract or within the provision for your contract extension, each option might have certain stipulations for your contract. All right, so your first year, let's say you're signed for 18 months. Okay, you put out a material or whatnot. Now the option is coming up to pick you up for another year. Now when that year comes, the stipulation might say, well, we'll keep you on the roster if you sell this many amount of albums. And then the third year will say, well, you got to sell this many amount of albums. And then, you know, so on and so forth. So those are the type of things that you could see. And that's what that language means in the schedule herein below set forth. Okay. this one right here, this is basically a you're fucked provision, okay? Now it says term. This agreement shall commence as of the date hereof and shall continue in force for an additional period of 18 months unless otherwise suspended, extended, or terminated as herein provided. Artist grants the company 3 irrevocable options. Each option to renew this agreement for 18 months upon all the terms and conditions herein contained. Each such option period shall run consecutively beginning upon the expiration of the prior contract period, the initial period, and the option periods exercised, as such periods may be suspended, extended, or terminated as herein provided, or hereinafter collectively referred to as the term. Now I know for a fact you motherfuckers have no idea what the fuck I just said, what you just read, what the fuck this company is trying to explain, alright? What they are saying in a nutshell is your initial term is 18 months, okay? And then you have 3 options that can't be disputed. You cannot argue these or nothing, okay? That's what the word irrevocable means, okay? For 18 consecutive months. So you will sign the initial contract for 18 months and then you will be extended 3 times for 18 months, which basically means you're locked into a contract for 4.5 years. Okay? Now, understand that these provisions, when you see them, this is just what the label writes out. You can negotiate these terms. You can, if you know how to understand contracts, or if you got a lawyer, but you got to understand the lawyers took the oath. The lawyers is in bed with these labels, all right? Because the lawyers, every deal that they make, they get paid off of it. So the lawyer is, you know, they're supposed to work in your best interest, but let's be for real, all right? They're getting paid more kickback money from the label than you could ever pay them, all right? So let's just think about that for a second, all right? But if you know how to read these and negotiate these, you can go in there and say, well, look, that shit doesn't look right. I need you to change that. I'll take the 18 months, but I need you to give me an example 3 type of contract. You see what I'm saying? So, got to pay attention to the language in this, all right? Example 5. Now, this is my favorite one because I'm going to explain it after I read it, all right? It says term. The term of this agreement will commence on the date hereof and continue unless extended as provided for herein for a first contract period, sometimes referred to as the initial contract period, ending 9 months after the date of completion of artist services for the first album hereunder. Additionally, you hereby grant company 7 separate options to extend the term of this agreement for additional contract periods. Option periods on the same terms and conditions applicable to the initial contract period, except as otherwise provided herein. All right, this one is fun. You're about to find out why. All right, now I'm pretty sure you've heard artists like Michael Jackson, Nas, Styles P, quite a few, Jadakiss. A lot of people talk about owing the label albums, okay? Well, that's what this provision, that's where this comes into play. When you hear people talk about, I owe the label an album and they're not letting me go till I deliver this album, this is what they're talking about, all right? All right, so what this means is that initially you will sign for 1 year, okay? Excuse me. But the curveball that they throw in is the language, ending 9 months after the date of completion of artist services for the first album hereunder. This means that after you deliver, or better yet, when the label accepts your album, okay? Accepts. This is the big thing you got to understand. The label will not accept certain albums and they will not count, okay? So if the label accepts the album, the contract would extend 9 months after that date, okay? I know that shit is confusing, so let me break it down for you in a more simplistic way to help you understand, okay? Your first year, you get signed on January 1st, 2016. Your contract will end December 31st of 2016, okay? Now, you deliver the album August 15th of 2016. So after you deliver the album, or basically the label accepts it, you add 9 months to this term, which means that your contract will now end, instead of December 31st, 2016, your contract will now end, what is that, May 15th of 2017, okay? Now, stay with me. Now, your second year will start essentially May 15th of 2017 and continue all the way through, April 14th of 2018, okay? Now, I think that math is right. I'm not pretty sure, but just follow me. All right. So now, let's say you deliver your album on December 1st, 2018. You add the 9 months. Now your contract ends September 1st of 2019. All right. Now, this is some confusing fucking shit when you think about it, but it's just basically a way that the label can tie you in and keep you into a contract. That's basically what that means. All right. Now I want you to understand that what we just went over is just dealing with the length of a contract. So now if you think that shit's confusing, you have no idea what mind-blowing, royalty-raping, butt-fucking provisions you will be exposed to when you click the link below and you join my list and you get in a rotation to get these videos before anybody else sees them. Okay? That's what I want you to do. Alright, so once you subscribe to my list, you will be receiving tutorials like this before they ever reach the public, okay? You will be the first people to see this and have a head start on the competition. I can promise you this, that this type of information cannot be found anywhere on the internet in any capacity that I'm doing it in. So I urge you to take advantage now and click the link below, join my list, get in the rotation to receive these tutorials, because I'm telling you, this shit will save your career. This shit could ultimately save your life and your butthole if you know how these motherfuckers get down in the music industry. Okay? So, I want to appreciate you and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for watching and let you know that I appreciate you for watching, giving me your time, giving me your ears. Hopefully you took notes. And I would advise you, if I ever tell you to watch a video 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, this is one of them. Watch this shit as many times as you have to, because I mean, these provisions are complicated, but once you break down the language and you decipher it, then you can read the bullshit that they're trying to do to you, all right? So, like I said before, click the link below, get yourself on my list, and this is K-Felon for K-Felon Beats, upandcomingrappers.net, peeptheindustry.com. I want to thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you guys in the next tutorial. Deuces.